children. The Earth was destroyed by a great war. I was programmed to protect you. And now we start again. Does anyone know the story of the
Raised by Wolves is an American science fiction American drama television series created by Aaron Guzowski that premiered on HBO Max on September 3rd, 2020. Hey everybody, welcome back to the LuckyDog podcast. This is your host, Elias Roush. This podcast is sponsored by EliasRoushMedia.com, photo, video, digital media production. Today we are discussing the first two episodes of Raised by Wolves, as featured on the new streaming platform HBO. Is featured on HBO Max. Not HBO, not just HBO Now, not HBO Go, HBO Max. Apparently this is the one that they're featuring it on. I don't know what's going on with HBO and all their split hubs, what the hell's going on with their networks, but apparently it's not released on all of the HBOs, so be sure to look for the Max, okay? So, first off, I want to say that I've only seen the first two episodes, and we're going to talk about them in spoiler-free section real quick for anybody who has no idea what this is about. I'm not going to give too much of the background information with regards to the directors and technicals and who this is by, because I kind of enjoyed not knowing who this was ingratiated by. So, who this executive producer was and director was, what the overall direction is, because I think once you find out who the director is, it kind of gears you in the headspace of like, oh yeah, so this is that kind of show or movie feel that they want you to have. So I want you to experience it in the same way I did if you have not seen or heard anything about them. So this is Raised by Wolves, not the 2013 television show, but it's the 2020 science fiction show starring Amanda Collin as mother and Abukar Salem as father. And let me just give a quick roundup of what this is about. Raised by Wolves centers around two androids, father and mother, tasked with raising human children on Kepler 22b after the Earth was destroyed by a great war. As the burgeoning colonies of humans threatens to be torn apart by religious differences, the androids learn that controlling the beliefs of humans is a treacherous and difficult task. So, with saying that, yes, this is some very, I think it's considered low concept, but it's a bit above what I was expecting Westworld would eventually be. It kind of feels like what season 2 of Westworld should have been, in my opinion, just kind of like the more exploration of life, especially between AI and how we, procreate as humans. And so this show, let me just say, first of all, looks like $1 million, smells like $1 million. I think the acting's pretty damn good. So it overall looks like you're watching a movie the entire time. When you're kind of being introduced to who these two androids are, father and mother, you are getting a lot of religious overtones and stuff like that. So I just want to say, with all of that, this show's not for everybody, but I do think this is a type of show that's going to be for me. This was the type of show that I was very much hoping, like I said, Westworld was going to be. But not only are there comparisons to Westworld, I think that there are absolute comparisons to the world that James Cameron created, the Terminator world. And so there's very much this internal struggle between, humans and AI alike. And you can tell that just by the first episode, I'd say. And so it is somewhat of a slow burn, but they unravel the mystery at a pace, at least for the first 2 episodes, in a way that was very satisfying for me overall. I think it's smartly written, it's well directed, the acting is phenomenal. I was just blown away on all fronts. I'm ready to watch the next episode as we speak. Let me see. Looks like the third one probably is already. So the first 3 are already available at this point. So, yeah, I will say I really enjoyed the first 2 episodes. Without going into too much more spoiler territory, let me see. I think that's just about it from the non-spoiler side. I do want to talk about this from a perspective of who this is created by. So it's not spoiler territory, but I just wish I just didn't know before watching it. So this might be the point where you go watch it and come back and listen to the podcast a little bit more. I totally understand. But overall, this first episode has the direction and look and feel of, wait for it, Ridley Scott. Yes, director Ridley Scott, who most people all remember for Blade Runner, The Martian, Gladiator, countless of numerous pieces of sci-fi and just world-building types of media. I didn't realize that he was an EP on Halo Nightfall. I didn't even know that was with Luke Cage in that. I didn't realize that. We're just not going to talk about Exodus gods and kings and that whitewashing bullshit they had on that. But overall, the majority of things that Ridley Scott is involved in, I really do generally enjoy. He's got a look and a style that is a way that is always of a piece that helps the world building. I always feel like when Ridley Scott has his hand in something, he definitely has his hand in the world building. I didn't realize Ridley Scott directed Hannibal as well. Wow. Okay, so yeah, he's had his hand on too many things to count. Obviously, Blade Runner being one of the biggest things under his belt in the sci-fi realm. But yes, and so this first episode, let's talk about it a little bit more into it. Also, I did find out that Ridley Scott is an EP and his son is a director on some of the episodes as well. So let's hop into this first episode. Episode 1, Raised by Wolves, directed by Ridley Scott, written by Aaron Guzowski. In the 22nd century, 2 androids, mother and father, escape an Earth devastated by war between militant atheist and a religious order known as the Mithrak to colonize the planet Kepler, bringing with them human embryos with which to begin a new civilization. 12 years later, only one child, Campion, has survived, as prospects for the future of the colony appear grim. The 3 are shocked to discover that they are not the only refugees from Earth in this part of the universe. The first episode was phenomenal and just hooking us in this world and ingratiating us and how cold this was going to be. I was just like, oh my gosh, I'm not sure if I'm ready to just watch these kids grow up and die. I was like, this is really rough. And then it started going into the parts of how androids are trying to cultivate any sort of human life if possible, and what the links that they're going to do to enable for these kids to live, or at least one of them to live. And so we see the catastrophic effects of what happened when humans try to come get Campion. And it is insane. I mean, she just does this like screech with her eyeballs or something like that. I mean, this is what I'm talking about, the craziness of the episode. This is full spoilers of the first episode. Holy Santa Claus. Strays and they just explode into a million pieces. Like, why were the Mithrak? Is that what? Sorry, I'm still trying to figure out after destroying the Mithrak. Oh, so why were the Mithrak saying that she looked like an old bottle that could be easily taken down, and she was being kind of handled by that one guy for a second, but then all of a sudden she started screeching, and all of a sudden just just a million pieces. I was just like, good God, my. So that will bring the second episode after we find out all about that. I was so pissed. HBO Max shows father getting killed by mother in the first episode, and then when they're showing you what's going to happen in the future episodes, like almost immediately they show him getting his heart back and coming back to life. Like, don't show us the like why are you going to do that? Like, just let us just organically show us that a character comes back, not in the previews. It's like, oh my gosh, you spoil your own shit. Anyways, second episode, Pentagram. After destroying the Mithrak vessel, Mother brings 5 surviving Mithrak children, Tempest, Paul, Hunter, Holly, and Vida, to the colony to raise a long campion. Marcus, having survived Mother's attempt on his life, reunites with the remnant of the Mithrak as they struggle to adapt to life on Kepler 22b. Campion grows concerned about his mother's behavior and begins questioning her intentions. Now, I will say the acting, holy Santa Claus, the acting on Abukar Salem as father and Amanda Collin as mother, God bless America. I'd say that they are acting their asses off. Amanda Collin is blowing my mind with how she is able to balance being almost insane, psychotic, but yet somehow still logical and still trying to be able to carry the mission of this android. And it is phenomenal to watch. And I like seeing how she's I don't know, like she's like this androgynous creature that she plays. It's fascinating to watch. And Wynton McGarth as Campion. He looks very familiar. Wynton McGarth. Let me see where we saw him before. Doctor, Red Dog, Alof. I haven't seen any of those. The kid looks way more familiar than that, but I don't see anything that I would have seen him on. Aloft. I don't think I've seen. No, I don't know. He looks familiar, but I haven't seen him in anything. But the kid's good as well. I don't want to look too far in the cast. I don't want to get spoiled. But Travis Fimmel is in this as well as Marcus. He is best well known for being in the Warcraft movie as Andrin Lothar. Is that the right? I'm sure I got that wrong. I'm sorry about that. He's in Warcraft, and he's also Ragnar. In Vikings, which I've only heard good things about that, and my buddy Mark, who's been on the podcast before, has raved about before. And so yeah, I'm kind of excited to see this guy on an HBO primetime television show. This is some real but yeah, so with these new children that have been brought to the camp, there is a little bit more light, it's not comedy, but it's like a pressure release a little bit between the children. The children all are still very much involved in religion, and this entire piece, this television show seems to be, with humans, trying to understand and still follow religion versus, androids who are completely against it at this point. And so and it seems that to be a believer, right now I'm confused at the people that are militant atheists and the new Mithrak order. Like I'm confused. I thought the Mithrak, I guess so. The Mithrak are still. So the Mithrak are still involved in religion, but the militant atheist, I don't know if we've seen the militant atheist. I was a little bit confused on if those have been seen or not. And Marcus's character at the very beginning of the second episode, which was kind of confusing. So these two people which maybe I almost have to look at the plot for this one. So for the second episode, I'm just going to say the plot for this one. In 2145, during the Battle of Boston, atheist soldier Caleb and his wife decide to respectively impregnate Mithrak Captain Marcus and his wife, Sue, with the help of an android plastic surgeon. Okay, I did not even understand that she was impregnate. Wow, I did not see that. Okay, so after assassinating the real Marcus and Sue at their residence, they board the Mithrak spacecraft Heaven, where that's kind of like on the nose a little bit, where they find the deceased couple's son, Paul, who ends up being taken later. So honestly, you got to be like Charlie and fucking It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia with that, stupid red board trying to figure out what the heck's, the red tape or so the red yarn everywhere. It's like, so we got this clue over here, we got this one over here, this one over here. And so it says, back in the present on Kepler 22, Mother replaces her eyes, the source of her superpowers, with that of a Mithrak android. She also receives Father with its heart. They return to take care of their son Campion, as well as the 5 Mithrak children, Hunter, Tempest, Holly, Vita, and Paul. Tempest later confides in Mother that she is pregnant with the child of a Mithrak priest who raped her on Heaven, which just sounds weird. Horde of unidentified desert creatures attack the farm, but are killed by Mother after she reclaims her original eyes that were momentarily stolen by untrusting Campion. Campion, don't be touching the eyes. A little bit of things about the eyes. Is this supposed to be like an analogy of some sort? Like your eyes can destroy people in a way? I'm not confused, but I'm just curious about what these androids' powers are, because we saw them, I think, 12 years ago whenever the battle was going on in Boston. Like, you see those types of androids running around, destroying, I guess, during the battle, they're just in this, like, Jesus pose, going around exploding people and things, and you see what happens to the people's faces in the first episode. My lord, I was like, you just got bucked up, man. Oh my gosh. So so a horde of unidentified creatures attack the farm but are killed by Mother. The creatures didn't look as good as I thought they were going to. I was like, I don't know about that. After she reclaims her original eyes, everyone's known. Having survived Mother's earlier assault, Marcus falls asleep next to a wormhole after tying himself to a nearby rock. At first, I was like, why the fuck is this guy going near this rock? It just didn't make any sense to be that close to that hole. I was like, all right. But we do see how smart this guy is, because he's, being attacked, and he's asleep, so he's put down the hole, but he's also got a rope to hold him on in case he goes too far. Or in case he falls off the side and is asleep. The same creatures spot him and knock him off the ledge. However, he manages to avoid a serious injury and is later rescued by another Mithrak team. I thought it was a really good episode to follow up on the first one. I guess my whole thing was like, I think Father even actually points it out at the time. He says, we've been here for 12 years and there hasn't been any like animals or any like attacks like that. It's kind of weird that they would just start to do that randomly, besides the fact that, obviously us as the audience want some sort of threat to happen on this planet, because the planet's kind of, chill for the most part. It's not that crazy. But yeah, I guess bringing these animals into the game or into the fold make this much more of an interesting planet, and kind of puts a little boilerplate on it as well. So, yeah, I appreciate you listening, watching LuckyDog Podcast review on Raised by Wolves. These are the first 2 episodes. I'm not probably going to do an episode by episode. I'm actually might be a little bit late. I'm seeing the original release date was September 3rd, and it's going to be playing through what is supposed to be October 1st is what it looks like. It looks like 7 episodes might already be out, so I might have to go ahead and get on this shit, man. But yeah, I originally looked at it and I thought only 2 episodes were out, but heck, looks like we might have a couple more episodes to watch. But yeah, let me know what you thought about the show. Let me know what you thought about the podcast. Let me know how I can improve. Comments, questions, concerns. LuckyDogPodcast@gmail.com. Let me see. PayPal.me/TheLuckyDogPodcast for all donations. That helps us keep the lights on and keep everything moving and grooving on the Lucky Dog Podcast side. So what do we have coming up down the tube? We are trying to finish up the Avatar podcast. The Avatar series has already been watched, and we've already got pretty much the first half of season 3 down in the tube, still editing it. I've already completed the first season of Korra. Season 1 is coming down the tube as well, so if you want to catch up on that, I have some definitely good impressions and good hot takes on Korra. Mulan 2020 was our most recent movie that we watched. I'm going to have to get on my movie watching. I've been a little bit behind. But I did watch Mulan 1995, I think it was. Don't quote me on that year, but I have checked out the earlier one as well, and I'm going to do a review on it. Tenet 2020, we'll check that out. Gave it a solid review. Tried to be as in-depth as possible with regards of only seeing it one time. If you are interested in behind the scenes of the Lucky Dog Podcast, check out the Aftercast. So, thank you for watching, listening, Lucky Dog Podcast. For this podcast early, subscribe on YouTube. For this podcast mastered, get on Soundcloud or your favorite podcast provider. For this podcast live, watch it live on Twitch at Lucky Dog Podcast. Thank you, and take it easy. I did forget to mention that I'm pretty sure there's an accompanying podcast that goes along with this. It says on October 29th, it would be announced that... August 26th, an official podcast companion produced by iHeartRadio is going to be published as well. So maybe check that out if you want to have a little bit of backup, detailed information behind the show. Behind the scenes. All right, y'all. Take it easy.
The big bad wolf she was talking about?
Mother?
That's her.
Actually I watched through episode 5, so I'm just going to go ahead and cover through episode 5. So, the first 5 episodes of Raised by Wolves essentially give you the overall power dynamics of what's happening. So by now, just go ahead and watch through episode 5. It'll explain to you how the androids became reprogrammed by atheists, one of them being named Campion. Through episode 5, I thought we had a phenomenal piece of a flashback between Mother and Campion, and it's through this simulation you're learning about how the androids became reprogrammed to start a new world on Kepler 22b. And so I just want to say that the first 5 episodes are kind of a piece, and I can see why. I think HBO Max released the first 3 episodes all as one, and then week by week after that on Thursdays. And so, without going too much in detail, we got the block in episode 4 that is giving everyone power on the or not power, but they're giving them warmth, and they're trying to figure out how to get inside the block. And then on the other side, you have the androids, and the kids are all starting to explore and become more comfortable with each other. I like the kids. I think all of the kids are much needed for the heartedness of this television show. Although I do feel like the kids are starting to become a little bit of a piece where you're just saying, all right, they're kind of there to create tension or a problem. And there's just a lot of paternal imagery with when it regards to how the necromancers, the androids are interacting with the kids, and how they're trying to protect them and stuff like that, and how they have these animals trying to attack the camp. That one of them actually was pregnant. It's like, what are these animals? But yeah, so also on the Mithrax side, they run into a guy who was on the ship who has this like Mandalorian looking prison style saw looking thing on his head, and he has an android near him, and if he gets too far away from the android, the thing's going to crush his head. This guy's a prisoner, and he's like a rapist, murderer guy, and he says that Soul, which is the kind of like the voice or something that speaks to him, is told him to do all this, which is just kind of ridiculous. I don't even want to hear excuses for being a rapist, but there is some sort of voice or entity that is speaking to the main character. And I will say, it appears that he's starting to lose his shit at the end of episode 5 when he's having sex with his wife. He's hallucinating, he's hearing things, just things are all going out of whack. As well with the androids. I did want to say, I really enjoy the father dynamic. By episode 5, you understand him always trying to have a single solidified like joke, and it's like you understand his personality. Like these two androids are clearly supposed to be robots, but they have such different personalities in the way that they're approaching their mission. And I love how Abukar is playing this android who's trying to learn jokes to tell people at other times, and it's just very it's entertaining for us to just watch him grow and thrive. I'm glad they decided not to permanently kill him in episode 1. So yeah, with saying that, let's jump into the rest of Raised by Wolves. It's hard not to just plow through this and binge the entire thing. But thank you for listening, watching LuckyDog Podcast.